Hello and welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name's Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter. As if you didn't know, obviously everyone already knows who I am. No, listen, it's Wednesday night, 9:30, in the deep dark depths of the off season. We've got like a month left before any real football happens, and about the only thing I want to do right now is talk with the 30 to 50 strangers or so that we see every week about Dynasty fantasy football with my friend Zach Reed. So that's what we're gonna do. They can't stop us. They can't stop us. They've tried, but they can't. So let's do that. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, or you just want to join in, drop them in the comment box, whatever streaming platform you're watching us on. And let's chill out, talk some Dynasty for at least a couple hours. Not gonna say I'm gonna make it till midnight again because I am tired, but we're gonna try our best. And let's go. Hey, Zach. How you doing?
Good. I see Bob in the chat already with the trailing Burks. I love it. Peter, I don't know if you know this or not, but we have actual football being played in anger at least for like the first 4 snaps tomorrow. Like the Hall of Fame game is tomorrow. The Jets and Browns play tomorrow.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I guess. I try to avoid all of that, except for the fact that I listen to all of it and let all of it confirm my priors. Like if it agrees with what I already think, it has spawned some thoughts. Like I try and set myself up for expectations for the season, and every now and again something will come up. I'm like, I didn't think about that, but that fits what I've been thinking. Like Brandon Cooks getting good camp news. I'm like, I forgot about Brandon Cooks, to be honest with you. That's fairly that's a good one. And then of course you go and talk to your league mates and like, oh no, I saw that clip too, and now he's worth more. And you're like, no, I'm not interested then. Like, I'm not interested. You saw a clip on YouTube, so now he's not Brandon Cooks of a week ago. Okay, yeah, cool. But so that's been fun. But yeah, Bob is in the chat already asking for a friend. What round are you taking Traylon Burks in a Dynasty startup? I find one pick before Zach Reed is really the move.
That's the final answer. Is if you can get him one pick before me, Bob, you're feeling good about it. I like Burks. I think Burks is the sneaky top 24 wide receiver who people have kind of given up on because he got banged up. And when he played, he was good. And yeah, DeAndre Hopkins comes in, and that probably puts out a little bit of the flame of Burks, but he's still a good player, and he's still going to drive targets. And even though it's a small pie, he's still going to have a fairly big piece of it, I think. So
I'm just too sad about Tim Patrick to think about anything else. That's upset me a little bit. And Michael Wilson getting camp news when I want Rondo Moore to be getting all the attention. So, yeah.
That's fair.
But it goes against my priors, so I ignore it, obviously. How are you feeling about Zay Flowers, Addison, and Quentin Johnson? Love Addison. Like Quentin Johnson a lot. Zay Flowers, I was a little more iffy on, but I think he's set up. He's in the right place, and some evaluations are really high on him that I trust. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's more to him than I saw overall. I'm still just about there, Zach.
Yeah, so very similar. I have them Addison, Quentin Johnson, Flowers, the same as I had them pre-draft, the same as I had them post-draft. I fully expect Addison to come on and people to be really to eat some crow because I think Addison has been undervalued this entire draft process.
I think, even when at max value, I've been like, nope. You're gonna get that's got to be the guy. Everyone's like, I wish I knew, or they all knew all the time. So bookmark the tweet, get a receipt out there saying that just in case. Yeah, I like that. Jason Brownlee, stock up. Thoughts?
I don't know.
I don't have any thoughts on it. I gotta be honest. Yeah.
So it must like now that we've heard of him, that must be stock up because
Well, it must be.
before, yeah.
Sorry, Tattoo Destroyer. Don't got nothing for you on that. FLY Meet What? Happy Wednesday, Hall of Fame game, Eve, gentlemen. That's a sentence. Glad to be able to make it to this week. Yeah, I'm glad to see you, man. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Otherwise, we'd just be sitting here by ourselves. And honestly, we're fine with that. But it's better with friends to ask questions. Zach, has there been anything that the off season has made you think of? Because that honestly happened to me with Cooks. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like Michael Thomas has been on my radar. I've been thinking about Adam Thielen, but Cooks, I just forgot. It's literally.
It just reaffirms my belief in micro markets and trade windows. Like that's what the preseason does for me. And I know you were asking about specific players and that sort of thing, and like,
well, I've been thinking about Dallas a lot because I feel like it's a team that could be underrated in terms of its passing. So I like Dak, and I've been looking. I'm like Michael Gallup. I don't think Mike CeeDee Lamb has any more ceiling in the tank. That's been like John Hogue likes him more than Justin Jefferson in a redraft, for example, on his podcast. I'm like, I can't get there with Lamb. And then I saw that highlight. I was like, that's a way it could happen. That'd be interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no. I think that's
Rashee Rice, or that is Rashee Rice.
No, I think it's Emeka Egbuka, but.
Oh, really?
But well, so Emeka Egbuka is coming in next year. He's another one of these Ohio State wide receivers. He's another very talented Ohio State wide receiver. He's probably going to be the 2 there next year because they have Marvin Harrison Jr., who ought to be the wide receiver 1 in the class. But this could be another year where Ohio State has the wide receiver 1 and 2 in a class,
a Wilson Olave type situation.
And that's not a knock at Rashee Rice because I like Rashee Rice. I like a lot of what I've seen from him in the preseason. And it's a wide open situation. When Rashee Rice and Justin Ross are getting the big hype from Chiefs training camp, I am here for it.
Yeah, John Ross, let's go. Yeah, I don't Devi. Sorry, Mike. That's what I was like. Oh, I must be some sort of depth player I've never heard of. But yeah, I have no idea about college players. Harrison Jr.'s been mentioned on Twitter a lot, so I'm aware of him. Joe McCarter. Any advice for rookie of auction drafts? So does it change your strategy for when to trade or when to send picks? Well, if it's picks don't factor into auction drafts, but I think I understand your question, Joe. It doesn't affect my strategy because specifically the way I play auctions, the way I play rookie drafts is I want to make evaluations and bet on them. I want to do it slenderly. I'll follow ADP pretty strong, but there are a few standouts I'm always targeting. And so I'm okay blowing a budget to get those picks instead of looking for value. Again, the general philosophy, I try not to trade back in drafts, except for very specific instances. I'm trying to trade up into the areas that I want. And if I want to go in the second round, I'm trying to move up from beneath or use my roster depth to try to do that. And it's the same the higher you go. Like I want to go from 11 to 7. I want to go from 3 to 204, whatever it takes. So it doesn't change my overall strategy. But that's just, it's not particularly advice about auctions because I don't do a lot of auctions, although they are fun. And I definitely think it's something I should invest more time in. But I think it's a way we should play rookies. We should kind of be all in or all out.
Yeah.
Well, have 2 extremes and the rest just let float in the middle, to be fair.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Peter. And that's the cool thing about auctions is when we talk often, we're talking about drafts with picks, not auctions. I don't play in a lot of auctions. It's not my favorite format. I understand it's the most fair format, and it's a fun format, but it's not my jam. It's a little bit too time consuming for me. But when we talk about rookie drafts, we talk about trading up into picks that you want to make and finding players that you're like, I'm willing to reach in a rookie draft for a player that I want. So I get him. And I think you can really do that with an auction because you can consolidate all your capital and go, I want this player. And that to me is the equivalent of trading up to make a play for one of those guys. And I think, I mean, to me, the strategy for when to trade for and send picks, it's all the same. You're trading for picks when people aren't thinking about them. So that's in the season where the focus is scoring points and building for the playoffs. And so teams kind of forget about rookie picks. They become expendable assets. And the same thing with rookie money. It's something that is a luxury. And if you're building for this season, you may not have that luxury. And so it's the first thing you're going to jettison to continue to make your team stronger. And as for trading away those assets, when the rookie drafts become in the forefront of people's minds, when you start hearing podcasts start talking about rookies, and you start hearing that drumbeat for the class and specific players, and that's when you want to make your moves. And you can set a watch by this. Like you literally can. And I've seen there are a couple of people who have almost a calendar out of when pick value declines and player value increases.
You have to be careful with that, though, because like ADP again is only so good. Like you have to know your league. Like in season, some of my leagues notice the second and third round picks just busting out, and that's going to change draft class to draft class. And in season, you can find a window where everyone's throwing a second or a third in to do whatever they need to do, because they're literally watching their favorite second round picks just do nothing that season. And so the window can shift a little bit. But yeah, in general, like right now in Dynasty, the window keeps getting further and further out. Like Devi keeps going further and further back to the point they're talking about high school players sometimes now. And like Dynasty pick window right now is for 2025 picks. Like that's when you're looking to buy draft picks if you're in a building situation, because 24 people already got their eyes on. And so you're like, all right, I start throwing in 25 picks, I guess. But yeah, and Devi's going to keep shifting that a little earlier and a little later too. Gavin Ferguson, a Cowboys fan. If Kamara doesn't get 8 to 10 games, when Zeke wasn't even charged and got a 6-game suspension, we ride at dawn. The league's gonna, unfortunately, the league's gonna do what it's gonna do. Honestly, there's been there are some people who are very good on this. Like Drew Davenport's really good to read his lawyerly perspective on the legal proceedings and what will and won't happen. He has a good perspective, but it does seem pretty difficult to know. Like a lot of it just, if you get close to the season and no action's been taken, it's almost just, I guess we're not doing anything right now.
Well, and they're beholden to Roger Goodell is the judge, jury, and executioner. He can do whatever he wants and like unilaterally do whatever he wants. And so,
and he's not been consistent. Like you say, he's not been consistent with it. So predicting the actions of an individual who's never consistent is tricky. Addison is not that far under the radar.
Bob, he's going behind Christian Watson in startups.
Okay, he's too far. Too far. Are you guys taking a wait-and-see approach with JT? Have a couple middle-of-the-road teams and prices lower right now. But it seems like JT and the Colts are firm on their position. Yeah, I'm putting it because I don't have this situation box. Obviously, it's very unique. It's very individual-based. Again, I don't know the people, and even the people don't know which way they're leaning because situations like that change. So how I'm trying to treat it is, one, it's a running back, so I'm mostly not buying until I need points. That's protecting me from the situation largely. If he's playing and scoring points and his value is low, then I consider it. But I do think you could make a case like him and Jacobs are in like a buy injured window where their price depreciates even though the player themselves aren't no reasonable reason to suspect they are worse. So you're buying into that risk. It's like Kyler Murray right now. You could say it's the same thing. Like there is risk, but the risk isn't they're not good. And that's kind of the hardest thing to know in advance. And so it's a pretty good window to take advantage of. So depending on the trade, it's like I've been trying to buy running backs all last season because their value is low. I'm finding it tricky. I've added Aaron Jones a few places. I have acquired relatively little Najee Harris because the value on these guys is still, like, I still prefer the wide receivers at that point or the picks. But yeah, it's something I'd explore in my league. If the person is tilting, there's definitely a buy injured type window available on him. But I need to see the trades or offer the trades or receive the offers to make up my mind.
But the fun thing about that is he's not even injured, according to him.
Yeah.
Like I know Irsay came out and was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put him on the NFI," which just seems like sour grapes, and Irsay being, the owner, running backs don't matter. Yeah. But Taylor came out immediately and was like, "Nah, that my back is fine. I'm ready to go." And
it's pretty contentious, man.
Yeah. Well, and I understand the owner's perspective in the same way that I understand how unfettered capitalism is a thing in our country. I understand that unless somebody says stop, the most beneficial thing for them to do is be as greedy as possible. So I get that, but also from the player's perspective, that sucks. A running back, the average running back career is less than 3 years, and your rookie contract is 4 or maybe 5 years of control. That sucks.
Yeah, I can honestly. The pay distribution seems fair. If anyone's underpaid, it's the grinders, it's the lower down backs, but that actually protects pay at the top. If you have to pay the backups and the James Richardsons of the world a bunch more than you do, then there's more incentive to pay the guys at the top when time is due. So that would actually help. I can understand all the data arguments. Running backs don't matter, and honestly, it's not just a thing. Their effect on the game seems to be measurably low relative to other positions. But I still stand by the only thing I can think to say on it is I like these players. I like watching them play. The thing I enjoy are these players doing amazing things, and so it's okay to just support the players. And honestly, I don't understand anyone who'd be like, the reality of the score. Screw you, man. People over corporations and teams and I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want the millionaires not to have their money, but at the same time, I'm going to support the person instead of an organization. Just not because I'm against the organization. It's because one's a person, who has a family. That's kind of where my chips lie. I don't have a great data argument or a great expectation for what should or shouldn't be done. I just want people to have more success and more happiness and more money. Sure, give them more money. That's fine by me. But yeah, it's not something I can prescribe things for. But that's all I got is feelings on that one. Mouthful of Gold says, "Woo, made it to the big time." You're welcome in, man. Thank you. Tyler, hey guys, Superflex non-tight end premium Dynasty traded Pitts in a 25-second for Hawkinson and Danny Dimes in a Superflex. Okay. Win or loss? What do you think, Zach? Let me see. It's a non-tight end premium. It is Superflex. Hawkinson's fine. I'd probably rather Pittman. I don't think the difference is a top 12 potential quarterback again this year. So it's probably the quarterback. Yeah.
I think it's a win. And not that
Daniel Jones Pitt's value has been higher than that, and it can get higher than that. So in that way, you're taking security over upside, which is not ideal. But you're looking at the season, and if it makes sense for your team, I think points is even better than upside. Give me some. Put the season in my hands, let me, I know I can do this, and I can move Hawkinson if I need to. I can move Dimes if I need to, instead of betting on the upside. Sometimes that's fine. Yeah.
No, I think, Tyler, I think you won that. I think you get, to me, it won't surprise me if Hawkinson outproduces Pitts, even though people love Pitts.
And still value him more. Yeah.
Yeah. And the value gap between Pitts and Hawkinson is not as much as it was because people saw the end of that year that Hawkinson had in Minnesota and are very bullish on him.
Yep. He's as low as he's been. He's got the upside, like I said, but points wise, it's easily add the quarterback. And I do think Pitts should outproduce Hawkinson, but like Zach says, I wouldn't be shocked. Oh no, what happened? Like probably pretty similar. I'm excited for redraft season. Yeah, it should be fun, man. I'm looking forward to the Scott Fishbowl. That's my exposure to redraft season, to be honest with you. And it'll be fun to see how those teams shake out. Mine will suck, obviously. But I'm watching a league full of really sharp people that I haven't talked to a lot before in the Cracker Barrel division. And they're a bunch of good folk. And I'm rooting for them. I want one of them to make it to the playoffs and hopefully see them finish. And I'll be like, I forced them to draft such a good team with my draft. That'll be my win. No, it's exciting. Super Cooper needing a tight end and wanting to trade Ridley. Oh, Kevin Ridley. Oh, don't know about that. Russ isn't here though, so other cat's away. Should I try to add something for Pitts, Andrews, or maybe try to find a lower value tight end, Goddard or Dolchich? The idea with tight end is go up or shot with multiple. If you're looking for a value tight end, it's Waller, it's Ingram. You're not expecting Travis Kelce or difference-making points like Andrews and Kelce or Pitts could one day maybe provide, but you're getting a decent starter with upside, Personally, I've been trading into the middle class a lot because I find those trades just more palatable. I've been getting Kittle and Freiermuth at a rate of naught. Goddard is really good as well. But often I'm trading Goddard plus something to get to Kittle. He's my upside tight end. Like if I want that difference maker, if I'm going up, I'm mostly targeting Kittle.
So I think to me, and I'm going to galaxy brain this one, what I'm going to do, Super Cooper, is split the difference and I'm going to get Waller plus because I think you can do that. And I think you get the points, a similar point range as Pitts, Andrew, Kittle with Waller, but I don't think you have to pay that because he's a little bit out of mind. He was hurt last year. He didn't do it last year. So there's some question. He's on a new team. It won't surprise me to see Waller as a top 4 tight end this year with a bullet.
What do you think you could get if you offered Ridley? You'd expect.
I think you could probably get Waller in like a second. Yeah. Or Waller and like Rondell Moore. Waller, one of those players that I like that I'll make a play on.
Because you probably have to add a second to Ridley to tempt a lot of teams to get Kittle. So it's really preference at that point. Yeah. I lean Kittle. Like, I don't mind. But that's why I burn through my picks at a rate of knots. And then I want to go buy Brandon Cooks. And they're like, give me a second. I'm like, I don't got none. How about a first? No, don't got none of those neither. And so I can burn through my picks pretty quickly doing that. But yeah, again, at that point, it's not strategy. It's not exactly strategy. It's more philosophy of how you want to play Dynasty. Yeah, I guess both are really solid options. But again, I find most decision makers are, what do your league mates think? The guy who has Kittle's like, yeah, I'm out. I don't need the yards after catch monster I'm building. And the guy who has Waller is like, no, I'm all in. I need Waller's. So that'll determine it.
And it's not to say don't kick the tires on Andrews because you've heard Russ talk. Like Dynasty Outhouse has been hurt. He's been scarred by Andrews because he had Andrews on multiple teams last year in a 1.75 premium, needed him for that push. Andrews was nicked up, didn't deliver the way he expected. And so it's hell hath no fury like an outhouse scorned. And so like don't not kick the tires on Andrews or Pitts because maybe somebody's cooled on Pitts too. But
like we just saw, someone's like, I'm good with the upside, give me the points, although that was a good trade. And the reason I say Kittle is that trade, I would offer the same thing for Andrews and I'm more likely to get Kittle. But yeah, sure, send it to both. Or the Pitts owner. I would do that for Pitts too. But Kittle's mostly the one people are saying yes to, and I'm pretty happy to roster Kittle. So. Also, what's your Dynasty sense on JMO as semi-rebuilder? Hold, sell. No, it's a good question. Zach, do you want to go first? Because I've been
well, so I just talked about this. We just did a Rate My League pod, and I just talked about this. I'm at a point now where if I have Jameson Williams rostered, I am holding. I'm excited about this because you've got insulated value. He's not going to drop any further than he is right now, and you're going to see him come back after 6 weeks after that suspension. And as soon as that 5th week is up, the entire news cycle for that next week is going to be about Jameson Williams coming back off a gambling suspension. And if you want to sell him, that's when you sell him. if you feel like taking a lotto ticket, I still think that he's probably, I don't know, 65-35 to flame out. So like if I can get a nice future first, or if I can get like a first and a later first and a second or something like that, or if I can package him to move up into the JSN, that tier of wide receivers, like I'm going to do that, but don't do it now. Even as a semi rebuilder, don't do it now, because I don't think you're at the pinnacle of where his value is. This is a micro market, and it's an easy one to see coming, because you have a set, like it is going to happen 5 weeks into the NFL season. They're going to start the news cycle about Jameson Williams coming back. And that whole week is just going to be a window.
And I think that's really, sorry.
No. And then beyond that, like if he comes out and if he has another touchdown, like a long touchdown, it's just going to continue to crescendo. Yeah, so
I think that's sharp. I'm torn. His college profile looks a lot better than I remembered. I'm basically treating him like a rookie, but my dynasty process is honestly more. Thanks. I avoid weird things. Like the honest truth is I've been rolling out the standard line on JMO all last season, but the thing is I don't roster him anywhere. I'm not trying to add him anywhere. If I had him, honestly, my team situation mostly makes me incentivized to trade him because I don't like weird. If I don't have a solid trend or historical reason to suspect something, I'm like, I want out that risk. That's just where I'm at. Outside of positional things like by injured that we're just talking about running back. So honestly, if I have him, I'm looking at the Cooper Kupp owner. What does that team look like? I'm looking, and I don't want to go trade for my favorite sleepers. Rondo Moore and Bateman are 2 targets this offseason, but they're in the same box as JMO. The upside is there. Like Zach said, there are micro markets, and there are reasons to suspect they're good or they're bad. It's a similar kind of thing. Instead, when I have a player like that, if I had a player like that, I'm trying to go for the opposite thing. I'm like, what does the Cooper Kupp owner look like? Or the Marcus Brown? Someone I feel really secure in my evaluation of what I can expect from them. And is there a plus? Or is it even and my team's competitive so I can go have much more certainty of my points because of the time of year it is? So that's mostly what I'm rostering. Honestly, I don't roster him anywhere. Didn't get him in a lot of rookie drafts. I would treat him like a rookie with a little bit of obscurity too. I think Terry McLaurin, sorry, I don't know why I mentioned Terry McLaurin. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't roster him. I'm not trying to add him. And if I did, I'd probably suggest one type of move or the other, which is mostly to go get that value or see if someone's interested in speculating his upside to get draft capital. And I hate just say I'd trade him for a first. Yeah, sure. But like Zach says, if I couldn't get that draft capital or I wasn't in a position to go get that bet, or I didn't think I could in that league, holding. I'm not throwing him away for less than what Zach just said because of what Zach just said. That was sharp. There's a whole bunch of ways he can increase or get more exciting without him necessarily doing very much. Just getting healthy, having a good play. He was a good college player on a team that's been waiting to see him play. So you got to hope they're going to give him the opportunity of his draft capital. So yeah, I'm not throwing him away or panicking on him.
Pete, that was almost a compliment. Are you okay? Like I appreciate.
I'm not. I take it back. I must be not feeling well. And I must be not feeling well. Mike, 12 team 1 QB start 8. Give the 102, the 105, and the 24 first to get the 101. 3 firsts with Bijan Robinson already. This year's draft, the 2, and this is a 1 QB, so the 2 is JSN. Yeah. The 5 to me is Quinn Johnston.
Yeah.
I like both those players a lot. And the 24 first, it's nice to accrue more draft capital. This is about right. What I'd say is if you think if you're in the playoffs, if you look at your roster, you're like, I'm probably going to the playoffs, get Bijan is probably the answer. I lean the picks, which I hate because I want Bijan Robinson a lot, but this value is just good. I love those wide receivers. I like that future draft capital just in case I'm wrong on those wide receivers. I haven't completely screwed my team over by betting on picks. So yeah, that's the best I can say. If my team's competitive, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take that high key running back. That's about it.
Yeah, and he's gonna see a ton of carries And Atlanta should see a bunch in the receiving game because they've got a young quarterback. Like this is prime. Bijan could conceivably be the running back 1 or 2 this year without like depending on CMC. Like,
I mean, if he's healthy, Christian McCaffrey is the running back 1. This is just known. But outside of that, Bijan's the best bet.
Yeah.
Gavin, Superflex 12 team, half point PPR, tight end 4 PPR.
Yeah, so
give
half point premium.
Give Kincaid plus Elijah Moore. I hate giving those things. Get Schultz, Christian Watson, and a mid to early second. Team finished last in 22. Extra context: I have Andrews and Meyer on taxi. That is interesting, but that doesn't affect normally outside a team situation. That normally doesn't affect what I think. You're probably talking to the wrong 2 people because normally when people ask a trade, they want to do it. We're not the people that say trade for Christian Watson.
Well, but I think this one you could trade for like Kincaid. I'm not as bullish on Kincaid as everyone else is. Elijah Moore is a nice piece, but we've talked about this before. Like he is all points because I don't think his value
has to score points.
Yeah, I don't think his value ever comes back to where. So if you could get,
but don't you think Christian Watson is too? Like if Christian Watson has a somewhat disappointing season, like we expect, then he's Gabe Davis, and even the people who like him suddenly don't recognize he's still good.
You've got to let me finish this because like this is a cascade trade.
But then I don't have anything to say because you complete the answer and you're right, and I don't like that.
But this is a cascade trade because I think you improve. Like I think Schultz is a better chance to score points this year than Kincaid, even though Kincaid has a ton of hype. You get Christian Watson, which you can then turn around. We just said Christian Watson is going ahead of Jordan Addison in startups right now. If you could parlay this into Schultz, Jordan Addison, and a mid-second, and you gave up Elijah Moore and Dalton Kincaid, thank you.
This is like why I disagree with the same way I disagree with Outhouse sometimes. I don't have confidence I can get those deals done, but Zach's right. If you are a pretty common trader and your league is pretty active, you can add more context there and be like, oh, I could see, like, if I can get Addison out of this deal, that's a side I want, But I don't trade like that because I just, again, it's my confidence in how likely I am to get more trades done after that point. But Zach is right beyond that. Not like in the stream so far. Zach, I've said you're right way too often. It's not going well for me.
This is definitely going to be a short show. Peter's under the weather. He needs to go eat chicken.
You're good, Gavin, by the way. Write it out however you need to. It's fine. Joseph Provane? Chadwick, which is a hell of a name. I got to say, Joseph. That's good. 12 team, 1 QB, half point PPR, start 9. Core, Deshaun Watson, Breece Hall, Deontay Johnson, Dobbins, Penny, Pittman, Dotson, Nico Collins, Andrews, Muth. Rookie draft is the end of the month, and he has the 1, the 9, the 12, the 201, the 301, and the 309. Oh, there's another one. Thank God. Other than Bijan, how should I approach the next month in the draft? Okay, general advice is you don't have to sit on your laurels. You have lots of draft capital. You have a pretty good young team here, by the way. So, constantly looking for trades. Move some of that draft value into 24, 25. That's still on the table. In general, like you said, take Bijan. But that 9 and the 12, I'm thinking, can I move up? Can I go get JSN, Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison? Like, that's the tier I want in. Or Gibbs. Gibbs is right there, too. Especially since your team could be, your opinion matters more. I think you could be pretty competitive this year if you added a Gibbs. Whereas if you add JSN or Addison or Quentin Johnson, that's more value. They'll be startable through stretches, don't get me wrong. But it's not a difference-making rookie season. That tends to be not what rookies give us at wide receiver. So I'd probably trying to go up to get JSN and Quentin Johnson because I don't think you're quite there yet. But you'll still be competitive and you'll have those good, what I think are good young rookies. That's roughly where I'm at. In the second round, that 201. Sorry, Zach. How about you talk a while?
Well, no, I was just how far do you think you'd be off sending Nico Collins in the 109 to get up to the 107.
Oh, I love it.
The 106.
I'd
Like
do that.
If you could do that, and all of a sudden your 109 becomes Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigba, like you just stole one of the top 2 receivers in this class. And
Yeah,
and
if that
again,
person's interested in Nico,
yeah.
or yeah, for sure.
And so like that's what I'd be looking to do, I think, just right off the
That's a good idea.
off the rip.
Because I was thinking the 12 and the 1, it's a really good range in this year's draft. It's a different tier.
It is.
But there's a whole bunch of tight ends and also running backs. So that's
well,
a really
actually, hold on.
interesting area.
I have to rethink this because it's one quarterback. So you got to get up to like 104, 105.
That's where I was at.
So you're probably not Nico Collinsing. So yeah, Peter, I think you're right. I think you've got to go a little harder than that. You might be able to get up there with like, I'd even package the 2 picks. I'd even throw the 109 and the 112 to get up into that, to get up into 105 if I could get there.
It's all these type of moves, and it depends what your league makes and who you like, because your ranks on the draft are what matter. But I'm trying to go up to get Gibbs, so Dobbins plus the 201. Like I would do that for Gibbs this year, and I know I'm a Dobbins hater, but I like him. I prefer Gibbs, or if I can go up. But my priority is going up to get Addison or Quentin Johnson or JSN, because my team's not hyper competitive, but it's definitely a good team. But if I can also get up and get Gibbs, then your team's more competitive, and I've added the rookie wide receiver I like. And again, that's my general approach to rookie drafts, is I'm trying to tier up into those places. Outside of that, I do like the tight ends this year. Take some shots at tight ends. If one falls to you on that 301 pick, take that fella. Or you can try and, again, Nico Collins your way up to try and grab your favorite tight end in the mid to early second round. Roshan Johnson, it's a really interesting mid-second round as well. You've got a whole bunch of running backs right there. And who, if you can't go up to get Gibbs, that's fine. There's a whole bunch of really good shots here. If I can add something to that 301, go up and get that one of those, the running back you like the best. I really recommend Roshan Johnson, but some people for Jacques Charbonnet or Condre Miller, all really good shots there. And they're helping you be more competitive this year. Or, again, you might find the best traders to trade back into 24. I don't know. But that's where I'd start. I'd try seeing how I can tier up into the places I want to be. And also, just a side note, because you know this, but your rookie ADP is going to be different. You kind of know your league a little bit better than me. So you'll be like, oh, no, the quarterbacks will fall to the 3rd round in my draft, or they won't get past the 108. And that can affect how you apply what I'm saying to what I would do in that league. But yeah, those are some rough thoughts.
Yeah, the interesting thing to me about one quarterback leagues, just looking at rookie drafts, is more quarterbacks are going in the first round of one quarterback startups than in any draft that I can remember. So like there are a lot of people talking Richardson needs to be a top 5 or 6 pick. I'm not taking quarterback there. I'm not, but a lot of people are. So it's just kind of an interesting thing to keep in mind, Joseph. Those, you got the 109, the 112, and those don't look like great picks. But if all of a sudden Richardson and Bryce Young go ahead of that pick, all of a sudden you've got some more value there. But generally, I'm trying to package and move up into spots that I want.
I always kind of forget this bit because you shouldn't underrate it at this time of year, your rookie draft. And again, you know your league. But like first move is, are people excited about rookies? Always. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle. I mean, always trade for Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And you've got 3 first-round picks here. 2 of them are spendable to trade up, I would say, outside of Bijan Robinson. Or you could find yourself, because you're, depending on your perspective on your team and the concern of Breece Hall's injury, maybe you're like, maybe the 101 can literally completely revolutionize your team here. If you can find someone that's interested in giving you one of those great young wide receivers in that second tier, if not Jefferson and Chase, plus a 24-second first, like how much are they in on Bijan Robinson? Like those are all first moves. I want the guys I have more NFL data on than the rookies first. But assuming we're talking about the rookie draft, like those are the places I want to be, and I kind of want to move up and get those. For example, where I haven't been able to get those done, I've traded out to get Amon-Ra St. Brown instead of trading up or getting Addison or getting JSN or getting Gibbs on a competitive roster. I've just been like, all right, let's go see how the 4th round wide receiver is sitting with the team in my league right now. Or Jalen Waddle. I think he's underrated just because he's not Jamar Chase from the same draft class, to be honest with you. So you can find those vet or those proven NFL players a little easier. I think CD Lamb's actually values escalating, which is helping those guys get a little underrated at the moment. So always worth mentioning. Those would be my alternate ideas, because that helps you no matter what your situation is, especially if you're adding a wide receiver. Where you've got Andrews, you're set at tight end, so I don't need to suggest anything. Sorry, I shouldn't talk so long about all the possible different answers, but honestly, it's a good question, but it's really kind of nebulous. Like, I'm going to look at my league, I'm going to look at my team, I'm going to start talking to owners, and also normally I have some idea of where the league's at, so some of it's just already crossed off. So there's a lot that you kind of run through, but those are some of my thoughts for what they're worth, which is literally free on a live stream, obviously. So nothing. Robert, half PPR, just traded Addison, Flowers, Lockett, Mike Evans for St. Brown, and Montgomery, David Montgomery. That's also, I hate, obviously. Wait.
No,
actually,
it's a
so
good.
awesome.
It's a
Addison and Flowers.
It's a good. Like, I'd rather have St. Brown. Like, that's a good trade, but that hurt. That trade hurts. That trade in 2 years.
That's when when you're making a good trade. There, it's like it hurts, but you're not going through the shiny things. Like I was just saying, the first move is probably check out the vets if you think that's possible. Like, that's a much more solid move. I do like the shiny things in rookie drafts, though. I'm a dynasty player.
But St. Brown's
you're right.
St. Brown's a pretty shiny thing too. I mean, it's not like
yeah. And Montgomery's going to get you starts this year. He's one of those running backs everyone's like, bleh, but the guy you need come week 14, for sure. Just made a trade: Jackson, Waddle, Dotson, and a 25 first and a 26 early. It's really hard to predict whether, but okay. Young, London, and Ridder. 4 young London and Ridder, I'm assuming.
So two.
Oh wait, I've read this completely wrong. Jackson, Waddle, Dotson.
First.
For two future first.
Yeah.
Young, London, Ridder. Go and rebuild. I know 9 firsts and 6 seconds in the next 3 years. What do you think? I think you're building value, right? You're heavily targeting picks here. I'm assuming that's Lamar Jackson, Jalen Waddle, Dotson. Did he say if it was a super flex? I can't see.
I mean, it must be, because there are 3 quarterbacks in this.
Yeah. See, Ridder, I just cross out. I don't think he's carrying value next to anything else in this trade. So I'm like, nah. And so that's Young and London plus 2 picks for Jackson. I think I prefer Jackson Waddle. Again, where I just lean give me the players I know about as default. Like, instead of chasing the sexy things.
This is one that I'd want to pare down. Like if you're at a point where you're rebuilding and you want to trade Lamar Jackson, so trade Lamar Jackson and get Bryce Young and see if you can get that 26 first. And then if you can trade Jackson for Young in a 26 first, that to me is, I would rather have Young, the 26 first, Waddle and Dotson than I would the rest of that, where you gave up Waddle and Dotson and got Young, London.
It's probably one of those ones that's best simplified.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Clinton, I think the value's solid here. Again, you've got 2 picks that aren't going to do anything but sit there and be valuable for a couple of years. Young is a great wide quarterback prospect. London's probably going to struggle this year, to be honest, but I don't think his value dips too much. I mean, people are going to know why, right? And Ridder starts, I guess you could probably trade him for something in season. So I think the value, quote unquote, is fine, but so it's more how you want to play your team. To be clear, I'm not telling you, you screwed up. But personally, I'd be like, I want to see if I can win with Waddle and Jackson. But It's a hell of a trade, man. It's thick. Kid Coop, stash A.T. Perry or Kenny McIntosh. I've been struggling with this one because I love adding running backs. It's not just McIntosh. Like there's a bunch I find on the waiver wire. Jordan Mason is one. And I tell people all the time not to get too obsessed with adding depth at your wide receiver position. So it's kind of how thick is my wide receiver position is how I've been determining it. If I have like 3 or 4 sleepers or 2 deep wide receivers, then I'll probably just add the running back. Now, it's not particularly about McIntosh, although a solid add. Outside of that, if I'm allowing myself the pleasure of rostering some of my deeper sleepers, I prefer A.T. Perry's profile, but running backs do more often, more quickly. So well, that's why.
And especially with the backfield nicked up already in Seattle, it's McIntosh.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely. Ed, in a 1 QP, trade the 105, Addison or Johnston, and a 107, likely Kincaid, for the 103 to get JSN. Okay, let me just refresh my brain here. The 105, the 107 for the 103. And you think you'll be trading into JSN. I think the idea is right here, but there's not that big a difference between JSN and Addison. Like there's a small difference between John, but I really like Johnson this year. I don't want likely, don't get me wrong, but the 5, you predicting that the 5 is Addison or Johnson. I almost want to add something else to the 107 to do it. You know what I mean? Or both.
Like it has to be one of them, right? It has to be Addison or Johnston. To me, I would rather. Well, I mean, so you got Bijan, Gibbs, JSN, Addison, Quentin Johnston. So that should be the top 5. I would not make this trade until I know for sure who is there at 105, and then if Addison goes, I would trade the 105 and the 107 to get Addison or JSN. Like that's what I would do is wait, because if Addison's on the clock at 105, you won that without trading, and then you have the 107 and don't take Kincaid, but you have the 107. Sorry, I don't want to tell you what to do, Ed, but like that's like, what I like.
That's the thing. The Addison and JSN are close enough. I'm like, maybe Johnston falls to the 7. Like that would be awesome. You know what I mean? Taking your expectations of the draft, if Addison is at 5, I probably want to trade the 107 for something else. I'm trying to add something to the 107 to get JSN or one of those wide receivers, or I'm trying to add both to get out because I can't figure out the value. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't think so because Addison and JSN almost the same pick for me. It's not that I mind giving up the 107. It's just that I'm pretty happy getting Addison. My goal is to get one of those 3 wide receivers, 2 of those 3 wide receivers. That's where my head will be at. How could I get that done? Or Gibbs, maybe. Fantasy Football Ninja. Back at you, man. I don't know why I was so animated. I don't feel animated. Mike, 12-team 1 QB start 8. Give London and the 105. Get what? Yes, get Waddle.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be Addison, to be fair, but
it could, Waddle. But it's still like you're hoping Addison becomes
Waddle is who I hope Addison can be. Well, not the way he plays, but Mr. Mole, good evening, gents. I would appreciate your thoughts. 12-team 1 QB PPR start 7. Give DK and Bateman. Get Keenan Allen and a 24 first. DK side. And I also get Bateman. Like, give me the DK side. Yeah. That was not too close for me. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to get. Allen's going to do well, don't get me wrong. But, we've seen the max value and it's already low. And the 24 first is nice.
Well, and I think people are underrating DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf saw 140 targets last year. 140. And yes, they added JSN, but holy cow.
Glad you mentioned that. Because, DK is in that tier should be in that tier with CeeDee Lamb and Waddle. And the like. And I hate to be on the DK train because Jake Anderson might listen one day, and I don't want him to let him know. But he's probably, I say Amon-Ra St. Brown all the time, but DK is actually probably the one people like that trade are really happy to give away for less. And I'm like, okay, it's probably DK Metcalf season. And I hate myself for it. 12-team Superflex. What does L mean? You think? 12-team Superflex L. Start 10. 1.5 tight end premium. Made 2 trades this week. Congrats. Gave Wilson, Addison, and Stroud, got Josh Allen. Wilson, Addison, Stroud. Ooh. I mean, yeah, it's fine. I hate it, but it's fine. 2 gave Kyler, Hollywood, Zeke, got Bijan on a 24/4. I hate that too because I prefer Kyler and Hollywood, but it's Bijan Robinson. You are just here to test me today, Rambo, aren't you? No, I'm just going to go with my fields because we're too close to the season. I want Wilson, Addison, and Stroud. No, Josh Allen's probably the answer dynasty-wise or this year-wise, but I just want those things. On the other side, I'm kind of all in on the value decline of Kyler right now. But no, it's still Bijan Robinson. There's too much risk in Kyler relative to what I think Bijan's got. Too many windows for him to become infinitely worth what a top 5 quarterback is right now. I don't think he's quite there. I think he'll be there in season. Kyler will get there again eventually, I think, but it's longer. So, yeah, Bijan Robinson. Why not? Zach? Disagree with me. I hate myself for both of those answers, but there you go.
No, I mean, again, I think that having the Allen Herbert is fun. Like that's a hammer. It is.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
But I also think you have an advantage with Wilson, Addison, and then having Stroud. If Stroud hits, and man, that's a pretty even. It's a pretty even trade. It's the King Solomon trade, man. You're splitting the baby.
To be fair, Rambo, you're rolling out Allen, Herbert, and Bijan Robinson, so
yeah,
you're good. But there you go.
Drew, I like them. It's a nice consolidation.
Yeah, I mean, and I try and consolidate. To be fair, yeah. Anyway. Drew, 12-team half-point PPR Superflex start 10. Would you trade CeeDee Lamb, JT, Dotson for Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and JSN? Yes, in a heartbeat, all day, every day. Give me Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and JSN. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yes. Sorry, I can't. You hit it.
Can't disagree with me on that one. Okay. AJ, I finally caught the show live. Hey, thanks, AJ. And thanks for checking out Not Live, to be honest with you. It's nice to meet one of the 3. Love you guys. 12-team, 1 QB, start 8. Starters are Tua, Bijan, Gibbs, Jamar, Olave, Higgins, Pitts. Flex is Brees. You're flexing Brees. Nice flex. What to trade Brees, plus 24 and 25 first for JJ. I would do, yeah, I like that. That's kind of capitalizing because it feels like Brees is being valued at a single first, but those other 2 are so far out. Actually, he's being valued more than that, and JJ is the thing that I want. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a kind of well-crafted trade I don't come up with because it looks like Brees is just being valued at a single first here, but it's actually 2+ because the 24 and the 25 are so far out. That's clever. I wouldn't think of that. Fantasy Condo. Hi, gents. I completed a trade yesterday. Gave Javonte Williams and a 24 first. Received Brees Hall and a 25 third. Ooh. Brees and Williams both have returned from injury issues, but you're the one getting the third and he's the one getting the first. Brees Hall's a better prospect, though, and he's done more well on the field. So, yes, Brees Hall side, I think he did pretty good. It's slim, though. Same position trades really make me squirm because you're just betting on the risk. One of you wins this, one of you loses this, and he's the one that got the little extra with the first. But if you're going to go all in, I mean, that's the way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's that this is not a trade that I would personally have made, but it's a good trade. Like again,
Yeah.
Brees Hall is one of two running backs that I want to like actively want to acquire. He's one of two running backs that I'm fairly confident in over the next maybe 2 years, which in running back terms is forever.
Is the other one Bajon or Swift?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Thoughts on how to use redraft ADP and mindset to your advantage in Dynasty? It's a good question. I struggle with it. I write this series where I compare redraft and I also do projections using redraft and Dynasty value, kind of trying to find a mix. The real answer is it really depends on your league mates, to be honest with you, more than ADP and more than Dynasty or redraft ADP. But you can find observations that lead you to go ask questions to your league mates. For example, Brandon Cooks has been higher ranked in redraft for a minute all off season, and I failed to notice it. But so too is Michael Thomas, for example. So you can find slight edges there because ADP is going to be predicting points a little bit more accurately, but Dynasty is going to be predicting value with a little bit more accuracy. So by comparing the two, and I do for that series on at least one of the 4 articles I write a month, and compares redraft and Dynasty directly to Dynasty ranks. And we look for some of those edges. Aaron Jones stood out earlier when I was comparing Fantasy Pro redraft ranks, like earlier in the offseason, whereas it was only later it showed up that ranks were identifying compared to the ADP. So it can be a little sharper on expectation of points. As far as applying the mentality, I think there's a lot. Frankly, I'm sure volumes have been written on it. The one thing I would highlight is it's roster construction. I'm sorry, it's roster construction. The deeper you get, the less interested you are in A.T. Perry, the more interested you are in running backs. And also, those veterans who don't feel like they have dynasty value, because they may never play again. You might never start Adam Thielen again, or Brandon Cooks, or someone I'd never roster, Robert Woods. But redraft is always going to be focusing those guys more than dynasty. 9 times out of 10, our sleepers, our wonderful darlings, do literally nothing except lose value. But those veterans or those tight ends and those running backs continue to be better bets. And just noticing that with redraft and noticing the way they construct their roster to focus on those, it's going to make the back end of your roster just sharper. Like right now, I'm sending value to all the teams that look silly drafting those old guys and those running backs when all these gorgeous wide receivers are available. But now they're the ones just sucking up my value because they can charge me for it. It's that simple. So that would be my one takeaway when looking at ADP and how to apply the mentality. It's the deeper you get, the less interested you are in your expectation of upside. We prioritize upside early. The further you get, the more it's like, well, that guy's been good, and this guy can do this. And tight ends have more startable weeks, even if they don't finish in the top 12. Running backs get hurt more often, so their backups matter. Backup wide receivers literally aren't a thing. And that's something redraft, you can bleed over into Dynasty. And honestly, the more you do that, the better you're going to be in Dynasty overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to look for points. I mean, that's really what you're doing. It's like compare Dynasty ADP to redraft ADP, identify the players that redraft thinks are going to score points that Dynasty doesn't value, and attack them for point. Like if you're going to be a competitive team, like I mean, I know you quoted Bosch earlier, but if you're going to be up here,
on this.
Yeah, if you're going to be up here, you need some players who are going to score points. Like that's a thing. Like fantasy football, you need points to win. That's an easy way to find relatively cheap points. And as far as like the redraft mindset, I think it kind of goes twofold. It depends on your league. If your league mates are playing with the redraft mindset, you may be able to get out on players, identify a class, make that rebuild move. But also in terms of in season and for this season, you should be having a redraft mindset. I know a lot of people talk about playing Dynasty in 2 to 3 year windows. I don't think that we know enough about what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years to be playing that way. Like I will play that way with rookie picks because you don't necessarily know all of the names in the class, but you know the class. So that's easier for me to identify than say, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be Jalen Waddle in 3 years. Like that is a real narrow window. It's like bullseyeing Womprats back home.
The mindset to apply. I also wanted to mention this, like the second thing. I do it all the time, and I really try and get better at it. It's really hard to have the discipline because when you go back and look at picks, the rookies I want right now after the top few that we've talked about sounds so tempting. Why would you not want Josh Downs right now? Like I want to go move mountains for him. But then when you look back on the players you've been getting in those rounds, are like it's David Bell, it's Jalen Tolbert. Especially recently, it's been particularly pathetic outside the top few. So we're probably due some regression. But so when you're looking at your roster, like Dynasty, we get it all the time with Rate My League. Rate My League looks at a team and says, this team, oldest projected starting lineup, low Dynasty score overall. But they're ranked in the top 5 because in a year, those old players are going to be older. Their value's not going to have gone up, but they're going to spend a year at least getting starts, if not finishing highly overall because of an injury or some sort of down season. And the team's getting the value boost for those younger players just now have roster cloggers. Like applying that mentality to looking at your roster, oh, my team's old. Instead, like, oh, my team is solid. My team is going to score points. These players are going to be doing it for a couple of years, and I should worry less about where their value is going to go now that I already know they're good. And the more you can cycle that up relative to your league, because productive struggle also works. The reason productive struggle works is because you're constantly cycling them up and out. It's like I get Josh Downs and then someone gets excited because of something and you trade him. And that kind of discipline is almost harder to do, I have found. Like if Josh Downs does something good, I'm like, I got a good rookie pick and I hold him. And then he doesn't do a second good thing. And I'm just left holding another roster clogger. Like if you look at my roster, I got too much Talbot. There was plenty of hype windows. I just never really even considered because that was a rookie profile I'm in because that's the way I play rookie drafts. But the further down I go in a rookie draft, the less I should be willing to invest in that mentality. And the more I should be like, eventually Cooks is going to be on a team scoring points, even if he doesn't finish in the top 12 again. Adam Thielen's going to have games. Donald Mooney will again. Odo Beckham and Calvin Ridley, a kind of new, unique thing. We haven't seen players return after certain absences a lot before, but I imagine they're going to fit into that category as well. Like the one game AJ Brown, Antonio Brown played for the Patriots was a top 12 game. Of course, he then went off the rails completely, but the skill set still seemed to be there even in that case, at least the ability to acquire targets. So I think the decline of the greats like Calvin Johnson just quitting and Julio's slow demise and Anthony Johnson going to the Colts, and those stick in our minds more, but the majority of those guys just keep being not Larry Fitzgerald, but keep doing Larry Fitzgerald things. That's what most of them do. Where instead we look at the young players and think most of those are value. No, most of those are just roster cloggers. Honest truth. So that's a mentality I'm trying to do better at applying the deeper I go as well. It's the age thing. Age doesn't have a value until they've done something. Sorry, that was a long ramble, but yeah. Thoughts on taxi squads? I love taxi squads. We should do them more. I want more roster spots because I need a way to roster wide receivers. Because the more I go, the less wide receivers I should roster. I'm like, I need somewhere to put them.
So my home league has what I think is the coolest taxi squad rule. Period. It's unlimited. Okay, so unlimited taxi squad, but you have to draft the players.
Yeah.
So that means that all of those third and fourth and fifth, and we actually have a 6th round rookie pick. All of those actually have value because you can draft 30 guys, from round 4 on and put them all on your taxi squad. And so even though there's a 5% hit rate, you've got enough capital and it's cheap to acquire. So, that's the thing. And it's always, to me, it's always about profiles. It's always about the athletic running backs and the receivers who fell for other reasons than football. So Keyshawn Boutte, Justin Ross, there's always that type of player.
Yeah, and again, back to my point, even taxi squads don't give me that, because again, the more you look into it, the more you find wide receivers. Like, I can allow myself, if I've got a 5 taxi squad, I maybe allow myself 1 to be a wide receiver, and it is Justin Ross, it's Keyshawn Boutte, it's one of those that fell, for ancillary reasons. It's not A.T. Perry and Hutchinson. If I can't find room for them on my bench, then I can't find room for them. It's also not running backs. Taxi squads are for tight ends and quarterbacks for me, because I have slightly longer burns and I need not to burn other roster spots for them. I also like taxi squads that once you take them off, you can't put them back on, because that's literally what makes it different, in my opinion, from a bench. Otherwise, just have a larger bench. So have some rule that differentiates it from a bench, 12-team Superflex start 10. Would you trade Herbert, Christian Watson, Penny for Mahomes? Yes. Yeah, Herbert, but yes.
I would.
Yeah.
Mahomes, look, Herbert is great.
Mahomes
is better. And Christian Watson doesn't detract me from getting Mahomes.
Yeah. Genji, howdy. August already. Yeah, no, it's moving by, huh? Kevin, trading Charbonnet, what kind of trades you seeing? I haven't drafted him a lot because he's going higher than the other group of running backs for some reason. Like, being behind Walker is better than being behind EPM for some reason, or being behind Khalil Herbert for some reason. So I haven't ended up with him a lot. If I can trade back and get a plus to any of those guys, do that.
Have you heard any more about his shoulder injury? Because the last I heard, they were saying he's going to miss some serious time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. The same day. So Walker pulled a groin or a quad, and Charbonnet hurt his shoulder. So,
and I didn't know Charbonnet was that serious.
That's cool. Well, at least that was the initial. I think it was Pete Carroll came out and said he's going to miss some serious time.
Where he's young and injured, actually, you're looking at a different trade. You're not giving Eddie Roschon Johnson for him. Trying to trade him for, I don't know, Khalil Herbert, Aaron Jones, players who've been in the league for a minute and been good. Because you're looking for running back starts. That's what the point of a running back is. So, yeah, that's where my mind would go. Because you're not going to get a rookie for an injured rookie. It's just not going to happen, probably. And I don't think you're going to trade him for the 24 first. Surely the upside hasn't gotten that out of control. Sleep update is cool. I haven't checked it out. I can't decide. I think I don't know. I just can't. I don't get with that UI very well. Like, I like using desktop for my fantasy stuff, and it's all app. The app is much better than the website. So, yeah, sorry. I still think it sucks.
I don't know.
I'm
old.
If I had it.
I am an old. I am everything I play is on MFL. I don't even have the sleeper app. Like, it's not like I'm not like proud of it. I don't know, Genji. I'm sorry. I failed you.
My Patreons are forcing me to play on Sleeper. That's where they wanted their Patreon league, and someone else invited me after I started that to a league with a bunch of people I don't play with yet, but I like. So I've ended up in 2. 3. God damn you, Evan. Anyway, and no problem, Rambo. I don't know how insightful they are, but they're free thoughts. Hopefully they inspire something that's much better in your own head. Jazz Fresh. Hey. Hello, guys. I've been rebuilding an orphan team Dynasty, 12 teams, start 10, PPR, 2.5 tight end premium. That's over the Zach Reed line, I believe. I gave Damian Pierce and probably an early 24 third for Jameson Williams. My other wide receivers are Higgins, Olave, McLaurin. I think that's a solid trade.
Yeah. I like that. And again, even on a Jazz, I don't know if you were here when we talked Jameson Williams earlier, but there's going to be a sell window. There's going to be a micro market where he's suspended for 6 weeks. The news cycle is going to pump up in week 5, and all you're going to hear is about him coming back. All of the fantasy analysts on ESPN and Yahoo are going to be, oh, well, Jameson Williams is coming back and he's going to bolster your fantasy team and and go. He's going to be the hot waiver ad. And so even if you trade him, then you're going to get more than Damian Pierce in a third. So this is a fantastic trade, even if Jameson Williams never comes to fruition and you just turn around and flip him. It's beautiful. And honestly, I said earlier, I think he's probably 65-35 to flame out. But if that 35% hits, like, you got a great wide receiver 3.
Especially on an orphan that you're trying to rebuild. It's a really good trade. I will attempt to trade McLaurin during the season. Good idea. No bias right now. Same with Miles Sanders. Yeah, I think Terry can remind people that he can do stuff. That's a solid idea. Hey, we're getting towards the end of the comments. I might get to eat before midnight. I like that trade, Jazz. Keyshawn Butts is making the 53. Yeah, I think I'll make the 53. Although I don't believe that's his real name. Jason, Kincaid, Maya, Laporta. Who do you think will be the most relevant this season? That's a very different question than the one you want to answer. But yeah, there you go. Sorry, I tried to challenge you with that. But
I mean, this season, probably Mayer. But it's either Mayer or Laporta. I think Kincaid is a trap. I really do.
Why?
Because so I know you don't watch him play, but if you'd watched him play, like he's a soft downfield tight end.
Soft?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like literally,
it means like he's easy to push around. He's easy to knock off routes. He is like a 9 route, like hope he gets the seam kind of guy, and it really makes me nervous. People are overdrafting Dalton Kincaid because he was overdrafted by the Bills.
According to redraft and my consensus ranks, it's Kincaid. He's projected for like 10.3 PP points per game. Laporta's at 8.9. Myers at 7.4.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not drafting any tight end with the expectation in the rookie year that I'm going to start them. It's just not where my expectation is going to be. I think they'll have startable games. Don't get me wrong. Good ones do. I mean, Trey McBride doesn't mean he's not good, though, because tight ends can also not do that. With wide receivers, it's almost a rule that they have to. 70% do something in the rookie year, with tight ends doing literally nothing, and you can still be like, that's still a pretty good shot. So I'm not having expectations for rookie tight ends. But yeah, so that's the best I got, the ADP expectations.
No,
buying into the Tank Dell hype.
Peter is the Tank Dell hype.
I am the Tank Dell hype. He's in that range, though, where I know I should, like, if one of those running backs if a tight end's available, I'm taking them. I've wasted way too much of my life loving players. But yeah, I like Tank Dell's profile a lot. I love that people don't like him because he's short. I think that's stupid. And I think exploiting unrelated ancillary things that don't necessarily say whether a player is good or bad is a good strategy. But it really depends on the ADP. And at this point, he's ADP, last time I checked, I haven't ended up with a lot of him because he's not falling to the third a lot. And I'm getting those running backs and tight ends in before I take him. But I like his profile, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to be like, I finally won hits and I don't roster him. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Mike Oxlong, you prefer JSN at 102 over Gibbs. I've got a whole 5-minute video on this. I was going to do this, but it's actually this big because I just made it just to explain. I want to be clear. You should take Gibbs. I am taking JSN. I don't care.
This is the when people ask me that, I say, look, I always break ties to running backs in rookie drafts, which is why JSN and Addison are over Gibbs for me.
Yeah,
because it's not a tie. Like I have them like firmly ahead of him. Both of them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, if it was Bijan Robinson and Derrick Henry, or Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley, like, he would fall to 3. Don't get me wrong. And it's not like I don't like Gibbs. I think he's got top 12 upside. I like him as much as Swift in his rookie year, and he had a good career so far, and I think he'll continue to have a good career. I think, like, I've listened to smart tape guys who watch and know, and they're like, no, the upside's there. He's a better runner. He's going to get more volume in there. I'm like, I believe you. I think it could still be somewhat disappointing because it won't be. I don't think it's Barkley. I don't think it's JT. I don't think. And so I think
it would have to be Kamara.
Everyone would be like, this guy sucks again. And I'll soak up all the jibs I can get at that point. Now, is that smart? Not really. I'm betting on like 7 different ifs and the reaction of other people. And also, maybe Gibbs is just that good. How the hell would I know? I've never even seen what he looks like. So, I'm an idiot. But JSN, if JSN isn't good, and I've said this before, and he's turned out not to be good, then I can't get it right. It's that simple. Like, JSN should be good. Addison should be good. I get him wrong a lot, but that doesn't mean, because there are high miss rates, to be fair. I do better than average, and I do better than the NFL, to be honest with you. But relative to draft capital spent, anyway, I can't play as if I'm going to get everything wrong. Like, I literally can't see a problem with JSN or Addison. I said that about N'Keal Harry, again, to be clear, but now I know where the problems were on Harry's profile, like numerically, not just from what Zach can tell you about what wasn't good in his tape. And those guys don't have those issues. I do adjust. I do know I get some things wrong and try to get better. Gibbs is a really good prospect to be a running back and is much more likely to do what he is. The ceiling for JSN is higher, and I'm as confident in the rookie profile. But those rookie profiles fail more often, so I should take Gibbs. I'm not. I'm just not. I'll tell you to take Gibbs. I'm taking JSN. And therefore, you can still be mad at me, by the way. If you take JSN anyway, I'm not going to be like, well, I told you to take Gibbs. You can still be like, your profile sucked. It's fine. But I want to give you the full 100, as it were, and that's what it is. Thanks. I need to take a chance on throwing a dart at wide receiver to build that room and possibly, and again, range of outcomes wise, that's the value where it's okay to shoot for that upside. Got the draft capital, it's a unique situation, and you're giving up a running back whose upside is a top 12 running back, which is fine, but his value is never going to go up. He literally was a top 12 running back last year. His value came down because we know, Tucker, Sean Tucker. I'll go back and watch Kincaid closer to see what you saw. Pre-draft, I ranked him 1. Maya was too much of a catch and fall tight end to me. Maya ranked 1 pre-draft for me just because he ticks every box, and I needed the draft capital for Laporta and Kincaid to push him over.
I agree with you, Jazz, about Mayer being a catch and fall tight end. So for me, it's Laporta. Without any questions, without any qualms, I like Laporta out of this tight end group. I think Mayer to me profiles as the next tight end and the safest tight end. So for me, it's Laporta. You might hit a home run. Mayer, you're probably hitting a double. Kincaid is the Rob Deere, where you may swing and miss and you may fly out to the warning track. It's hard for me to look at Kincaid and be really happy, especially if you look at the players surrounding Kincaid. He got outplayed the year before he came out, and he started off being outplayed again by another tight end until that tight end got hurt. And then they just plugged him into that role, and Kincaid was okay, made some plays down the field against some weaker competition. And it's not, and I'm not saying he's bad. He was my tight end 3. I'm not it's not, Kincaid is not terrible. But man, I'd much rather throw the chips down on Laporta or Mayer.
I rarely throw down the gauntlet on a tight end profile, so you don't have to apologize. Like I'm just listening, honestly. Like I believe you. Yeah. Redraft. Who's a better value at ADP? Mark Andrews or Darren Waller? Mark Andrews. Betting. I see what you're trying to do there, but okay. Betting on a comeback year for Waller.
I mean, like
I think it's fine. I think they're well valued for the expected.
I mean, I would rather have Andrews, but I think Waller is in prime. Like I think this is a comeback year, and he's cheap.
This is cliche, but Laporta reminds me of Kittle. Yeah, it's that yards after catch upside. Honestly, the yards after catch is something I'm starting to really build into the rookie profile process for tight ends, trying to find a way to stand on more hills. And but that's where I ended up liking Josh Weil. But Laporta definitely, he's got that in his profile. Jason looks like a better Golden Tate. I love Golden Tate, man.
But so here's the thing though.
Soft mids.
So if you're talking about coming into the league, Jackson Smith and Jigba looks nothing like Golden Tate.
Oh, okay.
Golden Tate was like a 17 or 18 yards like per catch. He was an air yards guy. He was.
I do actually know that. Yeah, he's one of the few that drastically switched his role.
Yeah, and he ended up in Seattle, and he was the vertical threat in Seattle, and then he got traded to Detroit, and they were like, "We have." I think at that point they still had Calvin Johnson was their vertical threat, and they're like, "Son, you're going in the slot." Yeah, and so
was
like,
good there, to be fair.
Yeah, he was awesome. So, like to me, Jackson Smith and Jigba is not, at least nothing like Golden Tate as a prospect, but is that I think what you're saying, McD, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm with you on this. Jackson Smith and Jigba is the slot receiver archetype that you want. He's the player who can be a wide receiver 1 as a team's wide receiver 2 because he can drive incredible volume from the slot. He can beat zone coverage. He can beat man coverage from the inside, and that's been increasingly valuable in today's NFL.
What was I going to say? I forget. I don't know. Must have been a lie. Forget it. No, that's it. Christopher Harris. He used to be on ESPN. Now he's got his own thing. Besides the point. I remember a podcast with him where he's answering questions like that he doesn't normally go over. And I always remember that he said Golden Tate for him, for his money, all the caveats he needed, had the best hands. He said really, really soft mitts, and that's always stuck with me. Since I never watch, I only have the second-hand retelling, so I assume that's true. J Mike, I love you guys. You too, man. Thanks very much. Where were you last week when I was wearing the dummy blitz shirts? You never ran when I'm wearing the dummy blitz shirt. Genji, why take JSN when you can trade the 102 for DK? Honestly, still prefer JSN, but DK is interesting because he's kind of trading below that. Don't you feel like DK, you could get him, you could draft JSN, then you could get DK by adding a 24 first to
something else.
I don't know, Pittman.
Yeah, I think DK is super undervalued, and I would rather have both. Why not get the 1 and the 2 when the 1 can be a 1 and the 2 can be a 1 from the like?
That's why he's interesting right now. Like I would trade the 1 or 2 into that tier. I'd get Amon-Ra, get Waddle. Yeah, sure. I hate not having JSN, but I'll do that. But with DK, the reason he's interesting, I have to kind of admit it now. Don't tell Jake Anderson. Is you can do it for less. It's still good, but like a 24 first and a good wide receiver, DJ Moore, Pittman, like nothing, like really good. You're happy with the wide receivers, and that's more tempting to me. James Jones, rookie drafts in a couple weeks. I'm pretty set at QB and need running backs. That's good to know, but just don't draft for need. Just saying. Dynasty Outhouse isn't here, so I'll make sure I said. But want to trade exactly. Want to draft the best player available at 1 or 2. Who do you prefer between Anthony Richardson and Jahmyr Gibbs?
Is it a 1 quarterback or it's super flex? It's got to be to me, the quarterbacks are the next 3 picks. Like it's 102, 103, 104 are quarterbacks.
Try your best to trade.
Yep.
That's the answer here. And I would, if I've got the Richardson pick, you should take Richardson, which means I want to trade it to try and get Gibbs or, again, your favorite running back one, plus. And if you go back one spot, the answer is Stroud. And if you go back 2 spots, then you're in the Gibbs JSN conversation, and you should feel free to take Gibbs. That'd be a very strong pick. JSN equals Tate online. Yes, who is exactly saying that in that role.
Yep. Yeah. And that's fine. Like, but I think, so I agree with you. Like, he's a better version of that high volume slot receiver with yards after the catch potential. Yes. No. Jarvis Landry juiced. Let's go.
Juice Jarvis Landry, even. Yeah. I know, and maybe I'll carry away, but I heard Travis May describe JSN as a Jedi. And while a nerd, Travis isn't prone to that kind of fun hyperbole. He's not a very fun man. He's a youth pastor, very serious fellow. If he's calling someone a Jedi, it's probably because they have secret powers and they can move things with their minds. So, like, I secretly expect that. No, but JSN, like, it's really good. YWL. Trying to tear down from Devontae Smith in a 12-team Superflex half-point PPR. Give Devontae Smith Pittman. Get flat. No, not enough. Not enough. You shouldn't have to add Pittman for that trade.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith. And if you did, Smith for Flowers, Cooper, and a 4th, you're running away with too much almost. But adding Pittman's almost, it's unbalanced here. I don't know why you want to get rid of Smith, but that's why I was going to say Pittman for Amari Cooper on the 24 first. Sounds amazing to me. But Smith for... You need Cooper on the first back, which is almost not enough, but Flowers... Yeah, I would take Pittman at that deal, and then you'll get in a really great trade. But there's something off with it. I would simplify. Try and trade Smith straight up. You don't need to be adding to Smith to tear down if he's being recognized as that value, that tier of player. Yeah. Dang, I was in the wrong chat. Oh, sorry, man. I didn't know there was a difference, or I would have warned you. Did you say something and I missed it? I'd be happy to cover it. I saw you say earlier you made it to the big time. Was that? I thought you were in here. B-Dags, in a no tight end premium league, would you trade Andrews for Hawkinson and a 25 first? Andrews is above that line for you where he's one of the tight ends that matters, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Otherwise, that first is tempting.
I mean, that's pretty close. That's pretty. I'd rather have a 20. I'd rather have a 24. I'd rather have the next one. But
in the back of my mind with Andrews, I've always got I could have Kittle and Likely. Likely haunts the back of my mind, but it's Andrews. The real answer is trade Andrews for Kelsey plus a first, if they're being particularly silly because of the age, but it's not happening. Kittle. I don't want to leave that tier if I'm trading Andrews because I've got the thing, And if I'm trading Andrews for value, I don't want a tight end back because few people are going to give me the value I want for Hawkinson, especially where I don't feel particularly confident I can get trades done when I need to. So, Andrews. Would you guys swap Laporta or Dolcic? Which one would I rather roster?
I'd rather have Laporta, but
it's kind of a gelato moment for me, but I guess I'll take the younger player.
I just I like Laporta's tape better. I like his prospects better, and Dulcich has been good. Don't get me wrong, but I just if I'm betting on a tight end, I want the guy who I think has the real ceiling upside, as opposed to he's okay.
Tell you what, the decision maker for me is if I need the points, because if you need the points, Dolcic is the only one who can provide you. You can expect to have some regular startability this season because Laporta's a rookie, but honestly, it's pretty dang even in terms of how much I would value in Dynasty. Same position trades suck. Do you ever do the QB horde in a startup? I've done it. Yeah, sure. I mean, if that forces
we like to call that the QBX Shout out to John Hogue, the Superflex dude.
We do not like to talk about that here. No, yeah, for sure. I don't mind stocking. Quarterback is so valuable in Superflex that it's still undervalued despite having risen consistently and exponentially over the last 3 years. For me right now, I'm more in a tier up into those top 5, but yeah, Dak's still around, perpetually undervalued. Yeah, I definitely don't mind holding quarterbacks. Looking forward to seeing how it comes out. Advice? Part of it comes down to how confident you are at trading long term as well, and how active the league is. That's one of the caveats I've got about the QB hoard strategy. If they're falling to you too freely, you've got to expect that the league is less willing to trade for them. But John Bosch, who also says the same thing, is right that by and large, they can complain as much as they want when they come to pay the piper. You can hold the line, and eventually they have to pay the piper. Don't know why I said that twice, but you get what I mean, right? And good luck. Come back. Let me know. I'd love to see how it turns out or how it's going for you, because, it's a really interesting year to hold quarterbacks. And listen to the Superflex Super Show, just in case you never have, because that's literally his whole thing. You guys spoke on running backs earlier, but do you think there is a way that the NFL can allocate a special pot of an amount of money that goes to them that does not affect the overall salary cap? In the NFL, money is fictional and made up. They can do whatever they want. That's the other part of the are they valuable? That kind of makes me go, come on, man. They move money around as much as they need. Tom Brady made $10 a week for 50 years, despite earning more money from the quarterback spot than most are ever going to earn, because they just kept shifting it around the way they have to and turning it into bonuses. There's a way to do anything. Will they do that? No, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, that's all I can think on that. But again, I've never studied it. I haven't looked at the numbers, and I'm not a millionaire, so I don't know how money works.
To me, it's got to be something to the effect of 1 year guaranteed contracts or 2 year guaranteed contracts for running backs. It would have to be collectively bargained. So I don't know exactly.
They're kind of screwed till the bargain.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the answer is, but the answer is not a 5-year contract with then the franchise tag, where the running back position is the 6th or 7th highest paid position in the NFL. So franchise tagging a running back at $10 million is that's good business if you're the NFL. You get control of a super valuable asset for a year at 10 million. That's a no-brainer, but it's awful for the franchise tag has been abused. That was not what it was meant to do. It was meant to keep your quarterback on your team while you negotiated a long-term contract with the quarterback. Because you can negotiate contracts while the franchise tag has been signed. You can still negotiate contracts and all that.
So they just tag them and it's done.
Yeah, it's been super abused. But
already have Laporta in both leagues. No Dolchich.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, there you go. That's as good as the reason as any to diversify. There you go. James Jones, no round penalty. Who would you keep between Diggs, Wilson, Mark Andrews? That's just an order that you'd rank them in a half-point PPR, no tight end premium. But it is a keeper league, so Wilson probably gets a slight edge here. But the answer is, for me, probably Diggs. If I'm redraft mentality, it's Diggs. This is Diggs. Andrews, probably 2, then Wilson. It's a redrafty question.
Yeah.
Would you still?
I still think Andrews gives you a positional advantage. Okay.
I think that's fair. And that's why
it's to me, it's Andrews and Diggs. If it's a keeper.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I just
that's fine. I think that's a very fair answer.
I love Wilson though. I think Wilson's gonna be so good.
I know.
Oh, I do.
Hey to make money or hey to make $sign. Which rookie would you guess going to be redraft relevant this season? I would never guess.
Bijan Robinson.
It's the running backs, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I also think Addison is going to have that trajectory of the first 4 or 5 games, he's going to disappoint, and people are going to be like, "Oh, well, I can drop him." And if you're smart enough to either not drop him or add him, it's going to be that second half of the year crescendo, make a push to be, offensive rookie of the year. Like
and that's the average. The last 6
Yeah.
weeks of when rookies go off, which is exactly when you're looking for even more upside. So rookies are an interesting ad. I know it's crazy talk, but just trying to think outside the box. I missed it.
That's the
Oh, right. Yeah.
No,
I'm not spitballing ideas. You're going to come up with something better than I would. I literally don't understand how money works. I think there's an interesting argument. I really liked Matt Spencer's article on RotoViz on it. That one thing you could push for is to pay the deeper running backs more money. That mainly because that conforms to how I think salaries and social structures work anyway. But when he looked at it, that's a group he found were significantly underpaid. But I think that decreases the demand to pay the ones at the top because you can replace them with someone perfectly replaceable a lot cheaper. Like we were talking about the franchise tag, it's a different thing. And yeah, I don't mind speculation or ideas, thoughts. Brainstorm it up, man. It's no need to apologize.
Hey, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, Genji. Bijan.
Skippy. Hello, gents. Hey, Anthony Richardson, by the way, talking about redraft relevant rookies. His ADP in redraft seems crazy to me. But like he's taking all the first team reps, talking about that training camp height. Yeah. You might see whether you can own me on it quicker than we think.
It could happen.
One more prospect.
I won't say a word, Peter. I won't say anything.
Yeah, you would never. No, I love Rondell Moore's prospects. Like his value is a third. You're never going to get him for a third because no one wants a third. But adding him to decent trades as a third value, like I've tried, I have not managed to pick him up nearly as much as I like. But relative to his range of outcomes, like Greg Dortch, but he gets the whole year, not half the year. He's due touchdown upside. I think people are underrating what that offense can do when Kyler gets back and how soon Kyler gets back. I mean, normally just lean the vets for sure, and yet Moore's falling to that area that I just wish I could get Bateman at. For the upside, I love Moore. Thoughts on Mike Williams as wide receiver 3 this year, also playing DJ Moore and Devonta Smith and Drake London. Mike Williams is a great wide receiver 3. When he starts, he's healthy, he's got the upside. I think it's a really interesting depth chart. Like I like Josh Palmer. He did really well in relief last year, and I really hoped. And then they added Quentin Johnson, who looks like a really good prospect. You got Keenan Allen, Mr. Consistent up there at the top of the depth chart, and Mike Williams. For Dynasty, for fantasy, Mike Williams is a fantastic wide receiver 3 that you want to roster as a wide receiver 4, because the value's not going anywhere and he's never going to get a full season worth of play, it seems. But that's fine. Give me the inconsistent upside. That's awesome. Laporta, Roshan Johnson, or Dolchich, and a late 24 first. Laporta, Roshan Johnson.
Yep.
Are we accepting a mid to late 24 first for Jahan Dotson? I wouldn't trade a first for him. I trade him at these are get out of jail free answers, to be fair, but it's how I feel, and then I go look for trades that beat something like that. I'll trade Dotson as a late first, but I'm not giving up a first to get him. That's the line in my head. Like I will add something to a second so it feels like a first or is first value. Because I think routes are a type of volume we can chase. But his range of outcomes, in my opinion, is never going to be... I'm hoping for a different kind of Mike Williams, speaking of which, where he's startable and has upside or floor on certain weeks. But I don't think he's ever going to give you a top 24 season, Oh, yeah, smashing the first for Dotson. Okay, that's interesting, mouthful of gold. Like, I think he's a little underrated, and if you like him that much, it's a great season for you to go a shopping. But again, probably lean people that have done it before first, but sure. YWL, thoughts on DJ Moore with Fields? I think the situation means that DJ Moore has top 12 upside again. But I'm kind of tired of expecting that. And mostly players don't pay off on that. However, Amari Cooper did last year. And it tends to happen after that fourth year with a change in situation.
But
I think his value's fine, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Here's the difference, though. Deshaun Watson throws the ball a lot.
Yes, he does. I've heard that.
Justin Fields does not throw the ball a lot. And if you increase his volume like a reasonable amount, he still doesn't throw the ball enough for that to be a like it's I appreciate that you want DJ Moore to be a thing. I do. I get it.
I am not buying him. I'm not telling people to buy him. I think he's pretty good.
There's so much. There's so much hype on it, and like I like Justin Fields, I do, but I like Justin Fields as a fantasy quarterback. Not
that's what I was
going to
say. Though. If his volume doesn't come up enough that happens, then Justin Fields' job's it feels a little insecure long term. That's kind of where my head's at on it. And I'm just kind of out, to be fair. Like, I want Roshan. Give me Roshan. Whatever. I say Roshan. Anyway. I'm getting tired. James Jones, on the second round rookie running back, who do you like between Roshan Johnson, Tank Bigsby, and Kendre Miller? I like Tank the most, but the order is the Roshan Johnson, Bigsby. I prefer Bigsby, to be honest, but Bigsby and Miller are kind of even for me.
So I have. It's funny because I have them back to back in my rankings, and to me it's Roshan, Kendre Miller, Bigsby. But like I'm actively seeking out all three of them in the mid to late second of a Superflex. Like
I did profile videos on all three of these pre and post draft, and my rankings are out there just in case you want to see where they compare. Because I'm not I'm not trying to sell them though. That stuff's free. And I'm too tired to talk it out too much, is why I'm saying it. But that would be my order. And Roshan's, it's a tier, but Roshan is clearly the one in that tier and the one I'm targeting. I do love Tank, though. The 2 tank strap, man. Give me 2 tanks. Give me 2 tanks in Dynasty. Let me roll into Berlin.
I feel like that feels like a parody. I feel like we could give me 2 tanks. Give me 2 tanks, baby.
Yeah. Recovering Ridley Truther, welcome back, man. Good to see you. What's up, gents? Just dropping in to say hi. And season's almost here. I already missed non-point scoring season before it even ended. Me too, to be honest. And welcome. Thanks for coming back in. Laporta, Roshan, or Dolcic, Rondon Moore on a 24 third. You're testing me. The third doesn't have the value though. That's Rondon Moore as a second, and I want him cheaper than that. It's a running back. Running back's the most likely to do something this season.
Yeah. As much as I like Rondon Moore, but it's hard to see him.
The upside is top 24 again.
Yeah.
And he needs to score points. Needs to at this point. Superflex. I don't think that affects it, but thanks, Kenji. What do we make of all the Ayuk hype? There's been a lot more Ayuk hype. The minute they go to Ayuk, the minute they go high, we go low. Or whatever it is. The minute people like Ayuk again, I get to like Deebo Samuel again. So it's fine. In the meantime, I like everyone. I like Kittle the most. I was able to trade Gabe Davis in a late second for him. I actually think that's a great trade, though. You should make that trade. Ayuk's much more solid. Justin Fields stinks, sorry. He has been struggling in passing, which is, again, I want to point out, a surprise. He was a very good passer in college. I'm not going to run the Anthony Richardson line out there, but it's difficult to do it in college, in the NFL. It must be, man. But he's been struggling, yeah. Dub Anthony. Oh, you were making the same. Okay. Where can I find your rankings? Again, YouTube's probably the best place because I took it through for free. Patreon has anything. You can also find them on DLF. If you can't find any of those links, my link tree and my Twitter bio links you to my articles and all the things I just mentioned. But if all that's too much, hit me up on Twitter, man. I'll literally send you a link or a screenshot or whatever you want to see. I think my prospect ranks are in my college database, which is literally pinned to my Twitter timeline. and also the first link in the link tree, which is free. You just go there and the ranks of it. I'm pretty sure I've put the rookie ranks in there, and if not, I can transfer them over.
Mine are in the notes app
No?
on my phone. So if you hack my phone,
Zach's ranks are on a 3 or 4 episode series of his podcast called the Dynasty Dummies, called the Dynasty Dummies Hootenanny, and you don't just get his. It's honestly, I'm not plugging
you get
it.
much smarter people.
I listen to it every year. It's really fun. You get 3 people literally running through their process, and the way they split it up is what I like the most. It's not here's my ranks 1 to 12. They talk about it's a really fun series, and I recommend, because you don't just get Zach's ranks, you get J Mike's ranks and Matt Foreman's ranks, and both are really cool and solid evaluators in their own. J Mike's honestly underrated as that, because he's so known as being a nice guy in the community who helps people out. Like, that's what he's known at. But when J Mike says something nice about a player and I haven't heard about him before, that's who I suspect everyone should like and doesn't. If you know what I mean? Like, he's that guy, in my opinion, who spots that player very few people notice. Not just at wide receiver where everyone's trying to do it, but who notice the running backs and quarterbacks and tight ends a little more often than most. He's a sneaky listen to for that reason. Just saying. I mean, Zach's pretty good too, but J Mike's someone I like listening to a lot, if only for his voice. Genji, would you prefer Laporta, Roschon, or Dolcic in a late 24 second? Laporta, Roschon, Dolcic. I mean, it's and like 25 second. I mean,
he's the Raptor testing the fences to see where they're
weak
spots. I love it.
I think, I mean, that value's fine. If you're asking me if that turned up in my inbox, I'd probably keep Roschon and Laporta. Like, you're not doing enough to tempt me off it, but you're the one trying to trade away Laporta, so it's up to you. You know, Zach.
No, like that's probably fair. Like it's fine. Like it's probably.
I like that analogy, by the way.
Probably
the Raptor and the fences.
Yeah.
It's what it feels like.
I'm waiting for Genji to lower down the cow, and we could just be like,
12 teams who flex half PPR give up a late 24 first for Debo. Yeah, I would. I'm not comfortable rejecting late, so to me it's mid, and I think that's very fair. Any hope that he can put up wide receiver 1 numbers? Yeah, if he's healthy, I think he does, to be honest. The health on Debo is tough to predict. I know a lot of people are want to run it out by splits when this quarterback's playing, this wide receiver's better, and that tight end's better. I honestly don't think it works that way. I think when the offense has everyone healthy, it works a certain way. And that's primarily through the middle of the field with Kittle getting yards after the catch and Debo fueling the engine. Now with CMC there, it's really interesting to see him, because they almost, JJ Zacharyson on his podcast described them as redundant assets at this point. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, and it's a smart point. But the rushing is part of Debo, but it's also the way he was funneled targets in the middle of the field. Like, that's a big part of it. CMC makes it more complicated, to be fair, but a single first for that range of outcomes seems awesome to me on a team that is, I don't have to be competitive, but I have to not be building like trash. Otherwise, Debo's just risk at that point. I'm currently in trade negotiations. I can tell. I have Laporta already in a league, so I want Dolcic, but I also don't want to send a counter that will offend him. I think that's very fair. I don't think any of those counters should offend, if it helps. We're just talking about whether we would or wouldn't accept. But where you want to trade them, they all seem fairly decent offers to me. You're in the right range. Otherwise it's going to be one of those, do you have a DM? Do you know the guy? Or go, can you talk to him a little bit? When I get stuck in that situation, it happens to me a lot because I suck at trading. I back up, simplify to use Zach's, or pare down. You want something, you have to give something the other person's interested in. You want Laporta for Dolcic, tough, they're the same value. So instead, if you want Dolcic, you have to start with something that's higher and hope they'll add to meet it. Like, if I can't get one done, I tend to re-envisioning the trade, instead say, what do I have that's that's worth more? And what will they add to the player that I want to meet it? Because most people recognize that getting 2 for 1 is a bad deal in Dynasty. Pairing down is good, tearing up is good. And so if you opt for the opposite for what you're actually seeking, sometimes I find success doing that. Like, I'll give you a 24 first. It's too much. Please add someone else on their roster or a second to it. You don't have to say it's too much. They won't like that. But you know what I mean? You have to start from above, giving them something that's worth more. And you're the one that's going to take the risk by accepting multiple things. Sucks. But when you want someone, sometimes I find a lot of luck going that way about it. And then you also run less risk of insulting them because, you're sending them something everyone would probably want. A 24 first, or I don't know, I keep going to Michael Pittman or DJ Moore, right? So they feel like you're serious, and also they're happy with what they're getting. Sometimes I find that's useful to run out, look at their team, see what you can come up with. Just an idea. Would you guys cut? No, I wouldn't cut Keontae Ingram to pick up Xavier Hutchinson. No, that's one of those decisions where I want to roster Hutchinson. Yep. Instead, I'm rostering Mason and McIntosh and Keontae Ingram.
Yep.
It's just, again, you can't say sell running backs all the time and not operate that.
So, Anthony, and if you've been like hanging out in the chat on this show before, you probably heard me say this, but it's the elevator versus the escalator. Like, to me, a running back is a lot closer to an elevator where they get in and the next man up is assuming, obviously it's not 1-to-1, but assuming more of the workload, and more often are easier to predict. Whereas the wide receivers, that if a wide receiver one gets hurt, it's not the next man up that assumes that role. It gets kind of dispersed down, and the next man up becomes the wide receiver 3 or 4, unless he's talented enough to drive targets. So,
and Anthony, you're not too deep. These are literally like yesterday. I went through my rosters. I went and found anywhere that had the running backs that I just listed, specifically McIntosh. I was like, did he end up on the waiver wire anywhere? And I found a few leagues where he did. And I cut in order. In one league, I cut Josh Palmer, which I hated doing, roster running backs. In one league, I literally cut A.T. Perry, who someone asked me about earlier. And in another league, I cut Xavier Hutchinson. 2 of those were for Kenny McIntosh. 1 was for Jordan Mason. Ingram is normally on my team already because I picked him up last year. But yeah, these literally went through my rosters and made those decisions yesterday. So you're not too deep. You're good. It's a good question to ask. Genji, Laporta, Roshan Johnson, or Tank Dell? It's Roshan, Laporta, Tank Dell. Laporta, Roshan, Tank Dell, I think is my ranks order.
Yeah. Yep.
He was talking to Genji, but I'm going to say it anyway. Startup strategy and Superflex: trade up to get 2 great QBs. Trade everything else for future picks. Trade those picks for elite wide receivers. Buy the running backs everyone wants to sell a year early at a discount. No, buy the running backs everyone wants to sell late a year after. Like, it's the Antonio. Well, you can go either way, Scotchy. This is a solid structure for building a dynasty squad. Then you add, adjust to your draft and adjust to your league, paying attention to roster structure and cutting your darlings and trimming your positional sleepers, especially at wide receiver. And yeah, we're pretty similar. I think that's solid. I initially offered Hincondre Miller. That's a good offer. Like, I like that offer. And Logan Thomas for Dolchich. And he countered with deal sending Laporta, Roshan for Dolchich.
I mean, of course,
I think he's asking for more.
Yeah, he wants the better players. I get that. I dig it.
Yep. Which you're not quite there. And again, that puts me in the mindset of, okay, can I add him one big thing instead of 2 same thing? Like, all 3 players should be about the same value. You know what I mean? Laporta, Roshan, Tank in that order for me. Yeah, same. Solid.
Hey, Pete. Hey, Pete.
Yes, sir.
Look over there.